Hello and welcome back. A bit of an on-the-road video, if you will. If you'll notice, things are a little bit different than they usually are for these types of videos because not only do I have this awesome, pure, plain white Super 8 background, I also have a partner in crime today. This is Racing Nation TV, a.k.a. Kyle Cuthbertson. The reason he is here, and we are definitely not in the usual filming location, is because we were covering the IMSA Petit Le Mans this weekend. And in a in a day where we're debating what is good racing and what is not racing, I assure you that the Petit Le Mans was very good racing. How much dirty air was involved in the last lap crash, Kyle, at Petit Le Mans?
I don't believe there was any.
No dirty air. Okay. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, we are actually staying in Georgia right now because we're actually going to be headed to St. Petersburg, Florida for the IndyCar season finale on this channel. Coverage will be commencing for that very, very soon. But we do need to talk about a few major breaking stories in the world of NASCAR, particularly involving two of, I would say, the sport's most polarizing drivers right now, Kyle Larson and Hailie Deegan. Now, Kyle Larson has asked for reinstatement to NASCAR, and Hailie Deegan potentially, and I know he's got an opinion about this, is potentially being moved up too early into the Truck Series for next year. So, without any further ado, let's talk about it. And this is the story that broke Friday by Jordan Bianchi and Bob Pockrass, but it's something that I think we've expected for quite a while. Kyle Larson officially applied for NASCAR reinstatement. Now, of course, as we know, he has been a lot more public in recent days and weeks with his desire to return to NASCAR, also touting some of the changes he has made to his personal life since that N-word controversy on iRacing all those months ago. It was all kind of punctuated by an interview on CBS with Jim Brown. I guess I'll start this out, Kyle, by saying that I almost feel like we're kind of at the point where it's semantics at this point. I don't see any way that Larson isn't reinstated to NASCAR. I mean, I feel like we're just kind of going through a dog and pony show right now, which in some ways, I guess, given the situation, it makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, I kind of feel like and believe me, I like the views on the videos, but like, can we quit dragging this process out and just say, look, you're coming back to Hendrick? I mean, what is kind of your thoughts on this process, and do you think there's any chance that NASCAR is just like, nah, don't come back, Larson. You got to stay in the dirt and just dominate there for the rest of your life?
Well, I think the writing's obviously on the walls of him coming back, and all the rumors. It's got to be Hendrick, right? It's
Yeah,
gotta be.
yeah.
So I mean,
The answer is yes on that one.
I guess you can't rule out them not reinstating him, right? Because it's 2020. But it'd be crazy for them to not. I think he's gone far and above, what was expected, what people expected him to do after all this.
Yeah. Oh, well, the tell to me was when he posted his first kind of comeback, the comeback message, I guess you could say. I don't know if there's really a better way to put that, but as soon as NASCAR was like publicly acknowledging his existence again, it's like, okay, yeah, Larson's coming back. There's no doubt about it. It's just, I guess it comes down to PR, and like you said, it is 2020. So, and there's a lot of social justice and racial justice stuff out there, or elements out there, that you just need to be very careful around these days when you're like, hey, this guy said the N-word, 6 months ago. I guess you don't want to look too eager to welcome him back, even if, and I think pretty much everybody is of the opinion right now that he's done everything that he probably possibly could have done to kind of rectify the situation given the time that he's been given. And like I've said for a while, I think that this is going to be a great opportunity for Kyle Larson and anybody who partners with him to potentially, be the change you want to see in the world. I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, I guess this will be the question I have for you before we move on to the Intimidegan, is what do you think the timeline is? Do you think we're making this video on Sunday night? Do you think Monday morning we're getting an announcement, or do you think they're going to wait a couple more weeks? I mean, at what point do you make not only the announcement that Kyle Larson's coming back, but when do you say, hey, he's going to insert team here, and why is it Hendrick?
I think it's I think it's either going to happen very soon, or just what would also make sense to me is if it happens after Phoenix, after Phoenix. So I mean, maybe after the season's over, they would do it, but they've waited this long. You know, why drag it out? It's like everyone already knows.
Yeah, it's not like it, but I don't think they want it to be a surprise. That's the thing. I think they want to very clearly telegraph this punch, even if it is a punch for anybody, because I think they want to normalize people to the idea of Kyle Larson being reinstated to NASCAR before they just, come out and say it. Because if they wait and come out and say it, or if they just had come out and said it versus this long process, it's not really NASCAR making the announcement anymore. It's rumors, and it's people like you and me making videos talking about it being a sure thing, rather than them just coming out and going, yeah, Kyle Larson's back. Let's take all the backlash. Speaking of backlash, let's talk about Hailie Deegan. And it is time to talk about the Intimidegan. DGR Crosley, I actually said it right this time, has announced that Hailie Deegan will be full-time in the NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series next year. This came on the heels, well, actually right before, she finished 16th in her Kansas Speedway truck debut. Okay, there are two schools of thought here, Kyle. There are the people who are, I think, quite rightly worried, because I even made a video about this. One of the points I talked about when talking about Hailie Deegan is rushing her up, bringing her up through the ladder too quickly is something that we've seen so many drivers, particularly drivers like Deegan, who already have a famous last name. I mean, if you think about, I think Marco Andretti is kind of the patient zero of this, where, if they'd had 4 or 5 more years of development, you're possibly talking about a really, really good driver. I think Hailie has shown that potential, but at the same time, is it too far up, or is it kind of that other school of thought, which is, hey, maybe she's just not cut out for ARCA cars, and maybe ARCA cars really aren't the best training tool for Cup. Is what's the move here? What do you think Hailie Deegan is Deegan making the right move, I guess, is the question, moving from ARCA to trucks this early?
I think so. She's done 2 years in K&N. I believe it's 2 years. Yeah, 2 years, and then a season in ARCA so far. And the ARCA grid this year wasn't that good.
It's weak.
It's very weak.
Yeah.
And I think it's time, to start moving up into the big tracks, learn the bigger tracks, which is something she was doing in ARCA, but with those cars, I think, the thing is, she could have as much time as she wanted once in trucks, if you think about it. I think if she goes from trucks to Xfinity in a year, then we can say, hey, pump the brakes. That is way too quick. But I think throwing her to the Wolves now early in the truck series, I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you bring up the bigger tracks. In some ways, I mean, I was super impressed by the Daytona performance. Super impressed. And, look, the criticism I would have, and it was plainly obvious in that Daytona race, by the way, she wrecked at least one person, I mean, blatantly, is that, and it's a plus and a minus, she's an extremely aggressive race car driver. I remember, I think the only time I've seen her actually in person was at Gateway, when we went there for the IndyCar race. And my observation on Hailie Deegan, driving-wise, is that incredibly aggressive on the restarts, but not necessarily picking her spots. Almost like, I hate to do this because I really do hate it when people make comparisons between female drivers, because it's always like, of course, you're just being blatantly sexist. And so I'm going to be blatantly sexist here, unfortunately, and say she's almost like the anti-Danica. I think Danica was much more of kind of an intellectual driver. She kind of played the long game, tried to be there at the end, versus Deegan, I think, is willing to just like throw it all on the line, which in a lot of ways I think will help her in trucks because trucks is really that kind of a series where guys just, I mean, they just put it all on the table. Ross Chastain is a great example of a driver who thrives in trucks because he just sends it constantly. So I guess that comparison, yeah, I would say that I think Deegan's going to surprise some people, especially because I think we need to talk about this. 16th in a Truck Series debut
Without practice.
with no practice. I mean, how well did Connor Daly do? And he's got significantly more racing experience at a high level.
He was like 20th, I think, or 15th. I don't even know.
Yeah.
It was top 20.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it wasn't. I mean, I think, and I've always said this. I do think there's potential there for Deegan to be a superstar, and I think a superstar driver, because I think there is a distinction, by the way, between a lot of people get mad when I say Bubba Wallace is a star. Okay, Bubba Wallace is a star not necessarily because of what he's done on the racetrack. It's because people know who he is. Hailie Deegan is a star already, but a star driver, not yet. But that could be coming. I think there's some signs of that potential, and that's why people are so hyped on her. Is that there's a little bit of fuel there that maybe aren't other places. And again, I hate to bring up the female driver thing, but it is a significant factor. I think a lot of people want to see a successful female driver, and anytime someone is a young driver and shows that little bit of spark, that potential to be a race-winning driver, that gets people excited. So I guess, what do you think? Because I think a lot of people have her pegged to end up in Stewart-Haas at some point in the Cup Series. How long or how soon is too soon to move her up that quickly? I mean, she's 18, 19 years old at this point?
Yeah, she's 19.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on how she does, obviously. You asked me last night, I thought it was interesting, if she goes out and has a 10-win season in trucks,
Yeah.
then what do you do? I would say keep her in trucks.
Yeah.
But, if you think
Chase
about
Elliott is the great example of that, by the way.
Chase Elliott won his Xfinity championship and then stayed another year in Xfinity. I mean, excuse me. I think if you have a great season, stay another year, but then that could also warrant some starts in Xfinity maybe, and then put your toes in the water there. It all just depends on how she does. I think 2 years, if she needs it, maybe 3 in each series until Cup, if she's ready. I think that could,
That puts her at almost 27.
27.
Yeah, 6 years. If she's 19, so she'd be 25. 25 in Cup.
Normalize that.
Oh, I would love
Well,
to
it's
normalize
just because we have all these drivers like William Byron and Chase Elliott that just boom, boom, boom.
One thing we're missing here, and I think it's going to be the biggest key to how quickly she moves up.
I do have an example though. I did remember one.
Okay.
Remember Chase Elliott? Both Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney did not do well. Blaney did, but Chase Elliott did not do a full season in trucks until he moved to Xfinity Nationwide then. And Blaney never did a full season in Xfinity, I believe. I think he did the full season in trucks. So we have current Cup drivers right now. Obviously, people are going to say they have proved much more than Deegan, which I'm fine with. But still, there's an example. 2 drivers who didn't actually do full seasons in all the 2 divisions below.
Yeah. Well, I guess the big factor, and I guess it's the point that we'll end on, is that all of the talk about talent is moot. Hailie Deegan is the second most valuable NASCAR driver on social media right now.
I thought she was number 1.
Second. She's behind Junior, I believe, and Chase Elliott. So, but active driver, she's behind Chase.
Sure.
Sponsorship. Teams are always in need of money. Xfinity in particular, there are going to be teams begging her, giving her absolutely the best equipment to get that money. Is she going to resist the temptation with sponsorship in a sport where your sell-by date could eventually wear out? It did eventually wear out for Danica, as an example. Is she going to be content to wait and develop or take that check somewhere else? That's going to be the thing. That's going to be what to watch. And I think ultimately that's going to be what makes the decision of where and when she's moving up. I almost guarantee you, by the way, that the sponsorship had a lot to do with her moving to trucks next year. But we'll have to see. thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed Kyle coming in. It's always fun to have someone else to bounce ideas off of. I hope you liked the video. Let us know down in the comments section below what you think of Larson coming back and Deegan moving up. Is it too early? Let us know. We'll see you in the next video.